My father smelled like pine needles and library books. That's my earliest memory. Perched on his shoulders, tiny fingers gripping his thick, dark hair, breathing in that crisp, woody scent as he carried me through the forest behind our cottage. I'd press my cheek against the warmth of his scalp, feeling utterly invincible. He was my fortress, my storyteller, the quiet architect of my childhood world. We lived in a small coastal town where everyone knew everyone. Dad was the soft-spoken history teacher at the local high school, adored for his patience, and the way he'd spend lunch breaks mending broken lockers or listening to students' troubles. At home, he was different. Not distant, but deeply focused. His eyes, hazel flecked with gold, would fix on me with an intensity that felt like sunlight on skin. When he taught me to ride a bike, his hands lingered on my shoulders a moment too long. When I scraped my knee, his embrace swallowed my sobs until my tears dried. It felt like love, pure and uncomplicated. Then came adolescence. My body changed, my thoughts grew restless. Dad noticed. He'd leave books on my bed, The Little Prince, To Kill a Mockingbird, with underlined passages about loyalty and sacrifice. Sometimes, I'd catch him watching me from the doorway, his expression unreadable. A strange warmth would bloom in my chest, equal parts comfort and confusion. One autumn evening, I found him at the piano, playing Chopin's Nocturnes. Moonlight bled through the window, silvering his profile. I stood frozen in the hall, struck by a yearning so fierce it stole my breath. I want to hold this moment forever, I thought. I want to hold him. The realization crept in slowly, like fog over the harbor. It wasn't just admiration. It wasn't just gratitude. It was a pull in my ribs when he laughed, a magnetic ache when he ruffled my hair. I traced the lines of his handwriting in my birthday cards, wondering why my throat tightened. At 16, I dreamed I kissed him, a chaste brush of lips against a stubbled cheek, and woke trembling, guilt sour on my tongue. Love, I understood. This felt like drowning. He sensed the shift. Dad began carving space between us. He took longer grading papers at school. He stopped hugging me goodnight. Once, I reached for his hand during a thunderstorm. He tucked both fists into his pockets. The silence that settled between us was a living thing, heavy, watchful. I'd watch him chop firewood in the yard, muscles coiling under his flannel shirt, and feel a hollow pang. He knows, I'd think. And he's saving us both. The secret crystallized one July. We drove to Willow Lake, our annual fishing trip. At dusk, I waded into the water, the cold biting my ankles. Dad stayed on the shore, silhouetted against the dying sun. When I turned back, he was crying, silent tears cutting through the dust on his cheeks. I moved toward him, but he shook his head, a single sharp motion. In that moment, I understood. Some truths are too dangerous to touch. His tears weren't sorrow, they were a farewell to something unnamed. Years passed. I moved cities, fell in love with a kind woman, built a career. Dad visits often, dotes on our children, brings them wooden toys he carves himself. We talk about politics, gardening, the absurdity of aging. Never about the lake. Never about the piano, or the books, or the way his shoulders stiffen when our fingers accidentally brush passing the salt shaker. The secret lives in the quiet places, in the way he still tucks loose strands of hair behind my ear like I'm 7, or how his voice cracks when he says, "Proud of you, kid." It's in the unsaid words that hang between us, thick as honey. I'll never confess, never burden him. Love wears many faces. Ours is a locked room, its key thrown into the sea. Sometimes, when my daughter curls in his lap as he reads to her, I see it flicker in his eyes, that old, impossible tenderness. He catches me watching and offers a small smile. We both look away. The world sees a devoted father and his grateful child. Only we know the truth. We loved beyond the boundaries, silently, completely, in a way that could only survive as a secret. And so it stays, a buried treasure, a silent hymn, the quietest kind of forever.